Hi everyone, welcome to All Four Queens. Hope you're doing well, and you're doing enough. You've kept up with your practices. I feel like a rabbit, a repetitive when I keep saying that, and you know what I mean. I'll probably just put it in the bio. I feel it just feels weird. So I know this is me, and I think I'm going to do one on that as well. I was doing something yesterday. You're on a spiritual channel, talk all things spiritual, including the stuff that people don't want people to know about, the spiritual warfare, the stuff that's potentially hidden but not really hidden, the things that are done under the rug that people don't see but are done, and those that you would think that, and I'm going to say in quotes, those that are there to protect are actually part of the problem and not the solution. However, that's not everybody. There are some amazing people out there who have taken an oath to serve and protect, and they are doing exactly what they said they were going to do, above and beyond. So to them, I give them thanks and praise and gratitude that there are some out there that are doing what they said they were going to do. And as to the others who chose to stay on the corrupt side, well then obviously, justice and judgment is for the man upstairs, the man of light, to pass on. We all have a path and we all have choices, but what we don't have is choices of our consequences. And 2024 is about cleaning up everyone's mess, and we all had time and we all got the memo. Some people chose to carry on in the same old energy, and some people chose to do things differently, and some people got drawn into something, and then when they realised what they got drawn into, they couldn't get out of it, because they realised what they'd accepted was not actually what they thought it was. It was a lot more darker and sinister than they probably ever anticipated. So the title for this will probably be Spiritual Wickedness, and I think for me, it's just about going through the things that I've been through, the darkness, the experimental stuff, going against my human rights, going against, modern slavery in a time of life when people should be able to live their life and have choices, taking away opportunities for me to live my life, all because of greed, corruption, lies, manipulation, slander, smear campaigning, and wanting to control the narrative, because people have stolen for a very, very long time, and not just people that you think are close to you, but people who are in positions that should know better and have done some egregious things. So for me, that's the crab in the barrel. The torture that I've gone through, the things that people have done, I would probably never be able to put it into words. And I think some of it has probably been recorded. And I said before, just to recap, bullying and abuse is not just physical, it's emotional, it's psychological, it's financial, it's sexual, and people, I believe, have tried so hard to make me go into a square peg when I'm actually a round peg. And they've wanted so much to make me be an emotional wreck, because that's what all this mental health thing was, because of all the lies. So they were trying to force a narrative. But unfortunately, what they didn't see was the things that I have protecting me and supporting me that you don't see. And that's ancestors, that's angels, and that's God himself, and that's Jesus of the light himself, because they have seen the atrocities that people have done in the spiritual that have been disgusting behaviour. And now, it's the day to pay the piper, isn't it? So, I think for me, and I'm going to give praise and thanks to my ancestors of the purest white light, and my archangels who have walked with me all my life. They've been there when I've been abused, and I've been sitting there as a child crying and not understanding why are people why are people not giving any emotional support? Why are people making it difficult? Why are people treating me so badly? And, you know, I look back now and I think, thank you. I say thank you because the strength that it's given me and the spiritual strength it's given me, and I stand in the word of God, in the fact that God gives you what he knows you can endure. And all these people that have gone out of their way, he's used you to be his footstool. And he's used you so that you show yourself, and he's given you time to make a change, and you chose not to. You chose to abuse me as a child, me as a teenager, me as an adult, and you continue to choose to do it to other children and his children. And now, you know, it's out there, isn't it? Everyone can see it. And that's why people are now trying to sort of control the narrative on my channel, because it's out there, you know, trying to control everything that I do, having people come into my life, people go out of my life, everything you could possibly think, these people have done it. And, you know, you're not above the law, physical, spiritual, but you're certainly not God, because you've showed that that's not how God operates. So for me, the crab in the barrel has finally got out of the barrel. It's taken 52 years to do it. 52 years of silence is a virtue, and patience is a virtue. And I understand now that God does that for a reason. It's a test to us all, isn't it? For me, it's a test, my endurance. And so again, to those out there that I've got a label of enemies that I didn't even know I had, those close to me as well, I say thank you. Thank you for allowing God to use you to strengthen me, because I never lost my love in my heart. My heart chakra never closed because of the abuse that I suffered, and I certainly didn't hurt other people because other people were hurt and chose to hurt others. Me personally, from being hurt, I use that as a strength to heal others. And hopefully my message and my story and my testimony, that one, you know, stand in the truth of God and have faith through adversity, but also it's a testimony that he does exist, because you cannot have dark without light, and you cannot have the devil without God of light. Now, I've said before on a previous one, you know, there are some churches that don't tell you who they are. And when I've sat back and had reflection and, you know, coming back to some of the things that I remember, some of the things that, you know, some of the sexual things that I remember, you know, I might have to put a bit of a shocker on there, but I remember going to some churches and as a little girl, and there was a lot of singing, a lot of dancing and da-da-da-da, but I always fell asleep. And I always fell asleep, and I always had one of those extra strong mints shoved in my mouth to wake me up, and I didn't realise why. Now I understand that it wasn't a church as such. Everyone was just draining, sucking off my energy, and at the time I didn't know how to protect myself. And there was another instance when I went to a cinema, exactly the same again, and I didn't know how to protect myself. So why am I saying this? It's so important on this journey that you understand how you protect your energy and yourself. And obviously faith is so important. For me, faith is so important. I know people use sage and stuff, and I do, you know, I like to use my incense sticks as well. But I also believe that your faith is your spiritual protection. So one of the things I want to just say on here, because I know there's been so much stuff out there, people trying to create the narrative, you know, saying I'm all sorts of things, creating stuff, you know, creating some really egregious stuff just so they can fulfill a lie and their own prophecy of just fake, of who I am not. This is who I am, and, you know, completely the opposite of what people have said. and more for them and more shame for them. And let's pray for our enemies and hope that, you know, they do find the light of God and that they will surrender and they will take what they've put out. You know, it's your energy. But also, you do the crime, you do the time. That's how I see it. And that's not me saying I wish karma on anyone. Absolutely not. What I do wish is karmic justice for the pain and the suffering and the missed opportunities that I've had because people thought that they were God in my life and they could decide and treat me as some sort of experiment, which goes beyond human rights and goes beyond modern slavery. And this is people in positions of power, which is why you'll see on another one I talk about people abusing their positions of power and coercive control. You know, this isn't just my story, this is stories of other people as well, but hence the time is up, because the spiritual realm have said time is up. You know, you've had long enough to put right what was done wrong, and you chose not to. So let me just read John. See if I can get it. I'll read it out to you. John 9:27, spiritual blindness. Jesus heard that they had thrown him out, and when he found him, he said, "Do you believe in the Son of Man? Who is he, sir?" The man asked, "Tell me, as that I may believe in him." Jesus said, "You have now seen him. In fact, he is the one speaking with you." Then the man said, "Lord, I believe," and he worshipped him. Jesus said, "For judgment I have come into the world, as the blind will see, and those who see will become blind." Some Pharisees who were with him heard him say this and asked, "What are we blind to?" No, sorry, I haven't got the right reading glass on. I lost my glasses, so just please bear with me. Jesus said, "If you were blind, you would not be guilty of sin, but now that you claim you can see, your guilt remains." I've read that because the things that have happened to me since awakening and since someone stole my book in my emails, and you know, people have just tracked me left, right and centre, tracking on my car, doing all sorts of stuff, following me everywhere. That says to me, and I'll read it again, Jesus said, "If you were blind, you would not be guilty of sin, but now that you claim you can see, your guilt remains." So for me, everybody, and I said it on a previous one, who had their hand in the cookie jar and had their hand in the corruption, if you were blind, you weren't guilty of the sin. But if you were, and he said, your guilt remains. So for those who knew about it and did nothing, your guilt remains. So you now are of sin. You take your karma. You've disrespected your lineage because you didn't put right what was wrong. And you take the karma of the person that started all this in the first place based on a bunch of lies that no one chose to validate, which obviously comes back to due diligence. But what they did choose to do was bully and abuse people for greed, pride, jealousy, envy, for all the wrong things, and not one person chose to validate it. And it had to be the spiritual realm that stepped in and said no. And that says a lot. So for me, spiritual blindness, but also testimony, proves that my testimony, my story, that God and the spiritual realm do exist. Because where there's darkness, manipulation, lies, deception, there has to be a balance, yin and yang, of light, love, peace, trust, honesty, respect, loyalty, integrity, harmony, and healing. So I just want to put this one out there, because I don't think anyone can ever know what any of us have been through unless you've walked in our shoes. Some of the things that I've experienced and some of the spiritual wickedness I've experienced, and I'm not even going to say that people were spiritually blind, because I think they knew exactly what they were doing. And I think in some cases, some people enjoyed it. I'm going to say that. I do. I think some people enjoyed it because it's gone on far too long. And now time's up. So I'm going to leave that on this one. I'm hoping that the next ones as we move forward will be more about healing and awakening, you know, as we transition from 2024 into 25. You know, and I send love and peace out to everybody that needs it. And I hope that those that have been party to all this take the lessons and surrender. You know, do the crime, you do the time. And for those that are righteous out there, that are putting right wrongs on a physical level, because obviously it all starts in the spiritual before it comes down and manifests into the physical. You know, I thank you. I thank you from the bottom of my heart that there are people out there that have seen the egregiousness, the wrongs that have been done, not just to me, but to other people in the collective who had a purpose and a destiny assigned to them that other people thought that they were God enough to take it. So I give thanks to those people out there, and I praise your bravery and your courage to step up and stand up. And so from me, thank you. I'm going to love everybody and leave you, and take it easy, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye.